All right, welcome. Today, we're going to break down the top football predictions for Saturday, December 13th. We're going to take all that expert analysis and turn it into a clear forecast you can actually use. So let's just dive right in.
And that's exactly what this is all about. We're not just picking winners here. We're really digging into the why, the form, the motivation, the context behind the games. That's what really makes the difference.
Okay, first up, let's talk about one of the most powerful forces in all of sports, home field advantage. We're going to look at the teams that basically turn their home stadium into a fortress that nobody can seem to break into.
You see it all over Europe this Saturday, a really clear pattern of home teams just being dominant. It's more than just playing on familiar grass, right? It's the crowd, it's that psychological edge. I mean, take Levadiakos in Greece. They are just so tough at home, and they're up against a team that always seems to concede an early goal. That's a really tough spot for a visiting team. It's kind of a similar story over in Spain, where Barcelona's whole style of play at Camp Nou is just designed to completely suffocate a team like Osasuna. And of course in England, everyone knows Chelsea is a totally different beast at Stamford Bridge. The common theme for all 8 of these games? It's simple, but it's powerful. A dominant team at home facing a vulnerable team on the road.
Okay, so we've talked about home advantage, but now let's flip the script. Because some teams, they just have that quality, that mentality to win anywhere, anytime. These are the road warriors.
Our first example here is a fascinating one from the English non-league. On paper, it's a classic David versus Goliath story. You've got Clitheroe FC taking on the much more established York City.
So what's the deal here? Well, it really comes down to a massive mismatch in pretty much every single department. York City just brings a level of experience, a physical style, and a depth to their squad that Clitheroe really isn't equipped to deal with, especially when you look at their track record against better teams.
And that really says it all, doesn't it? When all the advantages are stacked this high on one side, the analysis points to one pretty simple conclusion.
All right, so now we're going to jump from the grassroots of English football all the way to the top of the European game. We've got Metz hosting the giants of Paris Saint-Germain in France.
I mean, the story here is just pure, overwhelming quality. The gap between these two squads is absolutely enormous. PSG has a long history of just dominating these exact kinds of games, and they often do it without even breaking a sweat, even if they decide to rest a few of their superstars.
So, yeah, just like that last pick, the verdict here is crystal clear. There's really not much room for debate on this one. The expectation from every angle is a nice, comfortable win for PSG.
All right, this last category is where things get really interesting. We're moving beyond just picking a winner or loser. These are the smart plays, where we add a clever, strategic layer of protection to the picks. First up, we're heading to the Azerbaijan Premier League for a matchup between Shamakhi and Zira. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but stick with me, because this game is the perfect example of a smarter approach.
The logic for backing Zira is pretty straightforward. They're just the more consistent and reliable team, especially when they're playing away from home. And here's the kicker. Shamakhi has this known weakness where they tend to just fall apart on defense when they play against the better teams in the league.
And here is where that new strategic element comes in. The pick is for Zira to win, but with the safety of one up. So, what in the world does that mean?
Okay, so here's the deal with 1-up. It's basically like insurance on your pick. Let's say you back Zira. If they score first and go 1 goal up, but then, for whatever reason, they don't win the game, maybe it ends in a draw or they even lose, you get your stake back. It's a really smart way to back a favorite while protecting yourself from a surprise comeback or just some bad luck.
Now that we know what 1-up is, let's see it in action again. This time we're in the Dutch Eredivisie with SC Telstar taking on NEC Nijmegen.
So again, on paper, you've got a clear favorite. NEC has the better squad, more firepower up front, but the really cool part here is the tactical angle. NEC matches up perfectly against Telstar, a side that's known to really struggle when teams get in their face and press them hard.
And there you have it. The verdict follows that same smart logic. The expectation is definitely an NEC win, but by using the 1-up strategy, you're just adding that fantastic layer of protection, just in case things go sideways. For our last smart play, we're off to Austria for a match that has some pretty big implications, as Grazer AK faces a very, very motivated Lask Linz. So look, this one isn't just about who has the better players on the pitch. It's all about motivation. LASK Linz is fighting like crazy for a spot in Europe next season. They absolutely cannot afford to drop points here, especially against an inconsistent opponent. That kind of urgency, well, it's a huge factor in football.
And the prediction, no surprise, is a win for Lask. But once again, it's about using that intelligent one-up protection as a strategic backup. It's about being confident in your pick, but also being clever about it.
So, we've looked at the home field powerhouses, the dominant road warriors, and these really smart protected plays. But what does it all mean? How do you actually use this information and tie it all together for Saturday?
Honestly, it really just boils down to these two core ideas. No matter which picks you like the look of, the advice is always the same. Be smart with your stakes and stay disciplined in your approach. That's the foundation for any good strategy.
And that leaves us with one final question for you to chew on. When you're looking at a game, what do you prioritize? Is it the raw power and emotion of a team's home field advantage? Or is it the calculated, strategic safety that comes with a protected play? It's a great question of risk versus reward, something to think about.